Hey, what's going on YouTube? I have been sitting on this video for a long time, honestly about 2 months or so, which I guess is not really a long time, but it is a long time when you consider that we live our lives in 1 week increments in terms of content. But I digress. Generally speaking, I try really hard to be a very positive person and not let things get me down. But it's been really, really hard lately when it comes to FFBE. I've been trying really, really hard to give FFBE the benefit of the doubt on a number of issues, attempting to be the voice of reason rather than picking up a pitchfork. When a unit's upgrades get skipped or delayed, or we have content go missing altogether compared to the Japanese version. However, I have just found myself getting more and more frustrated with what could be considered minor inconveniences or issues. And I found myself feeling really unmotivated to even get into my favorite parts of the game. And frankly, that makes me really sad because I've put a lot of time into understanding and learning how to play this game, making contents and videos for this game, streaming this game. But the way things have been going really lately, it's definitely making me reconsider how I play this game, even more than I already had. I'm gonna give you a little bit of background. I've been basically free to play since right before Halloween of last year. I bought a Fountain of Lapis bundle back in October of last year, getting ready for Halloween and the Near event. And frankly, I'd stopped buying them every month back to back for a number of reasons. The biggest one is just that the way the game kind of was going kind of made it stop feeling like a good way to spend what little bit of my budget I could devote towards entertainment, dumping it into FFBE. Didn't feel like I was getting a very fair return on my pretty small investment. But then other stuff was just going on in my life that I just couldn't justify. Like, okay, I'm gonna drop 15 bucks on this. Like, I just don't have it. And if I'm gonna have it, I better get something good out of it, like going to a movie and watching a movie, or enjoying a meal out. Like, cause like I get to enjoy it, even though like a meal only stays with you for a little while. At least I get to enjoy it. You know, yeah. So less Lapis, and that's partly on me, right? But part of that means I had to choose to be more picky about what units I try to chase after and which ones I get, and that has led to some issues with clearing content in the way I want to, which I've largely been able to get around with like friend units. It's been getting harder and harder to do that though. The best example that I have of that would be the Final Fantasy IX content that we had with the Aiko and Zidane banner. I didn't pull in the banner because I didn't have the Lapis and I didn't feel like they were good investments. Sure enough, Malphase came out a week later. Good dodging the bullet there. But because I didn't have the units, I couldn't clear the content unless I had a friend unit. And so thankfully, like, Sinzar's Aiko cleared all the content for me. But if it hadn't been for that, like, I wouldn't have had, the inability to clear that content because it's like locked. So I think for players like me, that's more of an issue than most because like, I choose primarily to go after the Clash of Wills units and not series lock units. And so if there's going to be a bunch of series lock content, that means you can't take the Clash of Wills units to it, and it's just not as much fun because you can't use the units that you pull for, and thus maybe not getting all the rewards, and that's not fun. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some concerns that I have that have been making the game not fun. For me personally, and I want to like open this up to you guys. Talk about if it's not fun for you too. What's the issue? What's the issue really? And so the first one that I have is that free Lapis is just harder to come by, and what you do have doesn't go very far, or as far as it used to. So if we plot out how much Lapis we get in a month, compare that to the price of banners, it's just not going well. This time last year we were used to spending 48k on a normal banner, with a vision card on the banner, and up to 60k on a premium banner. And now it's about 4 to 6k higher on a normal unit, without a vision card on the banner, a little bit more with the vision card, and between 10 and 12k higher, depending on how you do it. Now, the good news is you've got options. You could just skip the vision card, and a lot of them have been total dumpster fires lately. But some of them have been really good, and some of them are worth chasing after. But the premium thing, like, that's a little harder. Now, you could make an argument, yes, Lightning was a very good unit. She got upgraded. She got a bunch of extra stuff on her banner. you know, whatever. But there has not been a notable increase in daily or even monthly Lapis. Now, before anyone even says it, yes, right now you can go into the game. Well, some people can go into the game and buy a daily bundle for Lapis using just Gil, the in-game currency, just Gil, to buy Lapis. A little bit. It doesn't quite add up to 4 to 6K per month if you wanted to go for 1 unit a month, or, you know, certainly not 12 to 10, depending on if you're going to go for the premium. But that does do a little bit, you know. But we're also missing content and events. We're missing things that JP had that go coincide with some of these units that just didn't give us Lapis, and so we have less overall based on the usual predictions. And when you combine that with the fact that what you have does not go as far because the banners are made up differently and they cost more, the value of your individual pieces of Lapis goes down, just based solely on you trying to get a guaranteed unit. Now, obviously, you could drop 5K on the first step and get whatever unit you want. Theoretically, it happens. Not everybody has that kind of luck, and they have to go, you know, deeper, especially if they want to have higher EX levels, which are required for Clash of Wills, or to unlock the unit's best abilities. But it's just harder and harder, you know, with using just free Lapis. And I feel like paid Lapis, it's harder to come by too, with fewer good bundles and the prices on them going up with little back in return. Like, you're just not getting the same investment that you got before with your paid Lapis either. Now, you can argue that contemporary banners come with perks like tokens, exchange coins, guaranteed Neovisions, etc. But it's not universal across the board, and even that has been messed with. So the best example I have of this is that since the anniversary, the one with Elena and Richt, the time that you would think that they would want to entice players to pull with a really good banner structure to celebrate the game and get us excited, they changed the structure to require players to go through extra steps to get the same number of tickets to pull for a pity unit. And that's where the price has gone up. Individual steps on the banner have not gone up, but you have to do extra steps to get the requisite tickets in order to get the banner unit guaranteed, unless you're lucky enough to pull what you want on the way. Have any of you seen my pull videos lately? I'm not that lucky. So, furthermore, some banners, like the Parasite Eve collab, the one we just had steps on them which contain a single guaranteed Neovision unit for the price of a full step. But it's guaranteed to be a unit that is most likely not going to be the unit you want because the pool is so bloated. So, like, you paid full price for a step, only got one unit, and it's probably a piece of garbage, which is point number 2. The pool is just too full, right? I've reached a point where I see a red crystal and I'm not even interested in watching it crack open because it's more likely to be a Gabranth or an Awakened Dragon Axstar than the one unit that I want. And most reds you see are guaranteed, right? But they have different rates than the guaranteed unit, or they have different rates than when you just see a random NV crystal that pops up in the middle of a pull. You can read this in the fine print. The rates are just different for the guaranteed units. It's just the way it is. Now, I know this is anecdotal, and not based on actual numbers, but you can go back and watch my pull videos, and you can see how it has changed since I started or stopped pulling. But ever since I stopped paying for Lapis bundles, my pulls have just been terrible overall. The one exception being that when I pulled on the new Lightning with tickets and I got her in like less than like 20 or so, like that was pretty good. But that was tickets, not Lapis, right? That all started when I stopped spending money. Like me not doing well on banners stopped the month after Nier, which was the month after I stopped spending money. Interesting. Maybe that's just confirmation bias because I'm pulling so much less, so I have fewer opportunities to do well. But seriously, my Ayaka pulls, my Cleone pulls, my Abigail pulls, my Dwayne pulls, my Elena pulls, my Richt pulls, my Malphase pulls, and to an extent my Aya Brea pulls, who I managed to snag 2 pity tickets away from the end. So basically she dodged me really heavy. The banner, those have all been bad. They've all been bad. And the one that I did well on was Flaring Ether Rain, where I happened to get a whopping 2 copies, right? But with premiums, that's really hard. It's really hard to make progress on that. Now I've got EX3 Flaring Rain at this point because of that, but I also got lucky getting him on like EX tickets, which is totally random. But I just feel like ever since I stopped buying Lapis bundles, my pulls have just been really, really bad. Now that's not to say I haven't gotten lots of Neovisions units. I certainly have, just not the ones I want. because the rates are trash. And that's just period. Like, there are too many good units in the pool. Only 1 out of 10 of those is actually any good and likely to be the one you want. And once you get EX3, you don't even want copies of the good ones because like there's nothing to do with them at current other than get more vision cards or farm them to EX2 for 1/10 Neo tickets, getting STMRs and TMRs. But often you really only want one of a unit's STMR weapon in the first place. So like, what do you really need those for? Certainly there are exceptions to those like accessories and abilities, but you know, very seldom do we get those. Fewer and fewer units, you know, are worth it. And even when you do get them, like it's harder and harder to get their fragments because you don't get so many copies of them, which is a whole other issue. Like if you don't, when you don't put the expected typical fragments in the VIP coins, looking at you, Aya Brea, or remove the 5K bundles from the shop, looking at you every unit since the anniversary, though an argument could be made that Lapis Replica was there to help you exchange for bundles, but ever since the Lapis Replica stopped, like the units have not been coming back into the 5K bundles in the shop, so it's like, yeah, not really happening. Both of these situations would be great things for FFBE to simply tell us about. Hey, your expectations weren't unmet. It's just like we want you to exchange Lapis Replica for these fragments. We're removing them from the shop temporarily. Enjoy not having to spend real Lapis on your fragments. We're gonna put them back in there once we're done with this event, this anniversary thing. But they haven't, right? Or hey, we chose to put Aya's fragments in the shop and only give them 50 instead of 100 because, and actually I can't really think of a good justification for why they only gave us 50. Like you would think that for a collab where you're trying to entice new players to come in and join the game and be excited to stay a part of it, you'd want to make their favorite character that they came for powerful for less so they'd want to stay and spend money on your game. Just saying. At the very least, try and communicate that with us. Now, incidentally, I would say that overall communication has been a little bit better. Today's are actually a really good example. Within a few hours of the Facebook issues that were going on today, they made a post on their own Facebook page and their Twitter explaining that they knew the issue was going on and that they were working on it a lot faster than that happened last year. However, it just feels like bugs and issues continue to be really rampant in this game. Minor things like units being able to use in content when they're not supposed to be. Like I think that happened with the Malphase event. Like she was able to be used in some Final Fantasy IX content when she really shouldn't been. To bigger issues like scores and ranked content not being able to be calculated properly because, you know, Clash of Wills is just bugged. Or completely changing how a fight works because things aren't working properly. They make me really question why anybody really continues to invest money in the game. It's constantly bugged and problematic. The biggest one most recently was that summon boxes for the raid event were not giving out tickets that they were supposed to. Now they came out right away and they said, yeah, we're going to give you the tickets. But like, how hard is that? We get raids every month that give out their tickets. What did you change? What one did you not carry that made it so that you don't ship out the rewards you're supposed to ship out on a summon box? That has been something that we've been doing for years. Like, explain that one to me, please. Over the past year, Clash of Wills has had so many problems that people start calling it Clash of Bugs, even when there's not a bug boss. But every bug boss that we've had has been bugged. It's silly. You know, it just never seems to fall that something goes wrong, even with long maintenances. Not to mention that maintenance times are supposed to be being shortened, but this week we're looking at a 13-hour maintenance. Not to mention that today I cannot even get on and do my usual Tuesday Preppers content where I show players how to get a killer that they will need for the week, because here we are again with Facebook users being unable to log into the game if they're on certain platforms. And in case anyone wants to know, I'm not that worried about that, honestly. They do a good job compensating these outages really well, but I'll just say it right now, just like last time this happened, you cannot simply throw some Lapis and energy restores at this problem to fix it. You have to consider everything that goes on in a day that impacted players miss out on. And so they miss out on a given day, login bonuses for the day, daily quest Lapis, daily wheel spins, daily arena Lapis, 24 hours worth of raid, which could include tickets that you get from your overflow box, 24 hours worth of Steel Castle rewards, which can reward you with all kinds of really important things. 24 hours worth of actual energy in the game, 24 hours worth of Clash of Wills restores per day, 1 run each of various Esper Ore dungeons per day, 1 run each of the Fragment dungeon per day, 1 daily purchase of the new Gil bundle that lets you buy Lapis, 1 daily purchase of the Cactuar bundle that you can buy with Gil, 1 daily enhancement point dungeon, 1 daily Gil hunt, 1 pull on the daily Parasite Eve 10+1 summon. Today I was supposed to get EX2 Iabrea with my 20 fragments from the daily login bonus that I'm not going to get until this is fixed. Not that I can play anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter, but I better get it. I'm going to be upset if I don't. And I'm sure I'm missing something, but there's a lot more than 100 Lapis and 10 energy restores at stake here for people who play the game every day. People like me. So, yeah, I know they're going to do right. They have always done right, but they need to do right. And how hard is it just to, like, manage this? If you can manage it for Google, why can you not manage it for the other app stores? I said it. You can buy back our goodwill with some of this stuff if you can manage a crisis like this really well. But when stuff like this always feels like it's going wrong, it's really hard to win people back. And so another really good example of what's really driving me up the wall right now is this stuff about Clash of Wills. The changes that were made to Clash of Wills this month are really making me lose interest in the game mode in general, and I know I'm not alone in this one. A lot of players are really struggling with wrapping their mind around like the new damage cap, but the bigger one is just the fact that like the bigger one that FFBE has yet to talk about is that one of the modifiers makes it nearly impossible for the average player to manage the fight properly. Because of how negative ailment resistance and positive ailment resistance do not work together nicely. And on top of that, doubling the damage cap, which is already hard for some players to hit at 2.5, going all the way up to 5 billion. Without warning, really, they mentioned in the news, hey, we're going to raise the damage cap, but they didn't say how much or by what or whatever. Here it is. We're just doubling the damage you have to do. On top of which having to deal with the boss's like massive healing that only 2 non-permanent units provide a solution for. So I hope you were able to pull for them. If you don't have them, kind of too bad. You're just not dealing with it, making it really tricky for normal players, average players to play with. And there are definitely some who are maybe not so average who are able to get rank 1. And maybe that's the game's intention. But so far, almost a week into the event, they have not commented on the ailment thing, saying, oops, that wasn't supposed to work that way, our bad. So it feels intentional. It either feels intentional or like there's a lack of concern about it. And the last time we had an ailment issue, we had a very similar issue with the Dream Wraith, where like it would lower your resistance and then hit you with everything all at once and just wipe you out. And then they realized, oh, we can't do that because some players have the Seraph staff and we can't let some players do okay. But they're okay letting some players do okay with this. Like, I don't like that. Be consistent, okay? It's making it much harder for average people to enjoy. And as I've become kind of free to play over the past year, my account has started to feel more and more average. I can't justify the spending when everything seems to be going so wrong. But I'm feeling more and more behind as more and more units come by that I have to skip and I can't seem to grab them. It makes it harder and harder to play, let alone enjoy the game. Especially when more and more content is locked to units that I can't get because I don't have the Lapis. And I can't afford to spend the money on them to get it. And I don't have the rarity that I need to do Clash of Wills because the fragments aren't available anymore. And they aren't telling me why this is happening. I'm just left to speculate on my own, shouting my woes into the void. Here we are, right? All that's to say, it's gotten a lot harder to stay positive, right? It's gotten harder to be motivated to play, and that's for somebody who loves the game, who loves playing this game and enjoys playing like 6 out of 8 of the game modes in it. Like, I want to play this game. It's just not. It's hard to feel excited about it when so much is happening. And I know a lot of this is anecdotal and not really supported by numbers, and not everyone's experience is going to match mine, and that's okay. If you have a different experience or something that you want to share, I want you to let me know. I can handle that. Drop a comment, tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm right, tell me whatever you want. Start the discussion, because that's actually something that I really do enjoy with this game, is having discussions with people both here in the comments, on videos, in Discords. That's the main reason I stream. It's the main reason I do Beige Carpet. It's the main reason I talk so much in Discord, because I just enjoy talking to people about this thing that I care about. So let's talk. As for now, don't take this to mean that I'm quitting this game. I'm not. I'm just burnt out on the problems. Like, cool. I heard from a news review video that the new Roka unit's getting global buffs and upgrades to her leader skill and morale stuff. It seems like they're trying really hard to blend the clash units into the DV units, and which is kind of cool, except for the fact that it makes players have to pull, you know, more units with fewer resources, and I kind of dig it. Like, I really enjoyed using Lightning for my rank 1 last month. It was great that I got her with tickets, but I wasn't really spending Lapis on that, and the way that things are going, it's making it really hard to want to spend Lapis. It's making it hard to want to spend money on getting Lapis. I just can't justify it given the circumstances, and yeah. If you want to, go ahead. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just telling people about my problems. So that said, I'm going to take a pause here, and I'm going to switch over to do my prepper stuff. I just wanted to take a couple minutes, I guess 20 minutes, to talk about what I feel like is going on in the game and why I'm having some frustration with it. So I hope you're interested now in hearing about the preppers. It's going to be a little bit different since I can't get into the game and show you the news, but I'm gonna show it to you the best way that I can. Okay, so here it is. Excuse me. I use a Google spreadsheet to kind of keep track of all the races and killers and stuff like that for the events every week, and this is basically just like a breakdown of what that looks like. So we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of content that are coming out. And here's all the killers that you need for it. So DV, you know, if you're curious about like the DV thing, like I don't have a good way to explain like what you really need for DV, other than to check the monthly bulletin. The monthly bulletin will tell you what the final boss is, and that's really what's important. So take a look at the final boss on the monthly bulletin. I don't happen to have that pulled up because I'm not able to get in the game right now, but there you go. The other pieces of content that we're getting this week are an Esper of Strange Appearance. This is a weapon enhancement event for the new Roka unit. It's against a demon enemy, Atomos. It has no weaknesses or resistances, and you can use all the breaks you want on it. Now, you could also, I believe that one was locked to anniversary, JP anniversary units, and like the evocation units, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me see if I can scroll over and look at it. Hold on. No, that's the other one. I believe Esper of Strange Appearance, you can just use whatever you want on it, which is kind of nice. Holy Beast of Yevon Reborn, it's a crown challenge event for Titus, whatever. It's an aquatic reaper enemy, Evre Altana. It has no weaknesses or resistances. It is locked to water units and Final Fantasy X units. Cool. You know, aquatic reaper. Battle at Visectrum's Peak is another crown challenge event for Fina the Return. It's against a demon enemy, Gehenna of the Ultimate Star. No weaknesses, no resistances. This one's locked to JP anniversary units, which could be kind of challenging depending on, you know, what units you have. I'm guessing though that if you have like Knights of Grand Shelt, you know, and Fina the Return, you're probably going to be able to blow this up completely. And then there's like a new thing, the Vision of Might. It's against an enemy that starts out as a beast, and then it turns into a fairy. So you need beast and fairy killer. Again, no weaknesses or resistances, but the way that fight works is it becomes resistant to everything and once you hit it with the right element, and then you've got to like use that element to kind of clear it. You got to like, fight a bunch of times. It's kind of silly, but yeah, kind of cool. And then a series boss battle update for Safer Sephiroth, and that's a human. 50% resistance to light and dark, 30% resistance to null, and 50 resistance negative to fire. Doesn't sound like it's gonna be that challenging because, you know, the news bulletin just basically says the same thing that the old news bulletin about it said. Yeah, so we need demon killer, human killer, beast killer, aquatic reaper, and fairy. Nothing too terrible. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Get this one out of the way too, because I happen to have 2 of them entries. There we go. Okay, so aquatic killer for Evre Altana. You can get Aquan Eater Sense, Tiger Fangs, One of the harder ones to pick up is Aquan Killer, but there are definitely things there. Ollie, Soldier's Protection, Noreen's Trance Saber, Huamanto, whatever, you know. Aquanator Sense is the best one. Definitely go get that one. It's pretty easy. Catastrophe is like not that hard by comparison today. So yeah. And Fairy Killer, Spirit Killer, you could get Gargantuan Grub in the Sand, Spirit Killer Plus, Scorn of the Genies, Fairy Eater Sense from Cerberus, pretty easy. Lots of things for TMRs and STMRs. Kaito, you know, Kaito's STMR, not a terrible option. There you go. Reaper from Doulahan, we've done that a million times. As well as Stroper, Scorn of the Ancient Hellbringer. Lots of stuff for Undead. Reaper's pretty easy to gear for. Human and Demon, easiest ones in the game. Cross Aigai and Arm, True Murasame, Mask of Ashura, Muramaza, Man-Eater Sense, Elnath Ryle. Guy's Belt, super good. Demon Killer, Crucifying Coercion, from Scorn of Ashura, pretty easy to grab. Ega Blade, Demon Killer Plus, Demon Eater Sense, Mask of Ashura again, pretty good. Force Mysterian, really good from Lunera. And then Beast Killer, Scorn of Aemon Intermediate version, True Murasame, Raphlesia, which we just did a couple weeks ago, Cerberus, Valued Memories, Vortex the Past and Hatred, Infernal Battle Garb. Beast Killer's not that hard to come by. And that's really it. So I would love to show you a clear of something in the game so you can help you get this stuff. I'm going to direct you to watch some of my old videos about the killers if you're really struggling to find killers this week. Killers can be found on a lot of those old videos that are in this playlist. So definitely check that out if you're looking for killers. And we'll hopefully see you on Thursday playing the new content live over on Twitch. But for now, because my stream starts in about 4 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and stream over there on Twitch something else since FFBE is not working.